What's happening, New Jersey? Welcome to the weigh-ins. Thank you very much. How about a round of applause for Ariane, Brittany, Ashley, Vanessa, Joe Silva, matchmaker extraordinaire. All right, we're going to get things started. We got a banging card for you, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll kick it off in the middleweight division. Eddie Gordon versus Chris Dempsey.
Tomorrow, UFC Fight Night on Fox returns with a middleweight doubleheader and a potential title shot on the line. Former light heavyweight champion Lyoto Machida battles Luke Rockhold, plus Jacare versus Kamosi. The action starts tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, free on Fox and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. There he is, Chris Dempsey, guys, about to weigh in.
$186 for Mr. Dempsey. And his opponent, Eddie "Truck" Gordon.
Rival gyms collide on the new season of The Ultimate Fighter. American Top Team versus Black Zillions. See the franchise reinvented on the season premiere Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. Chris, that's your guy, Eddie "Truck" Gordon.
This is my boy. This is my Serra-Longo teammate. He actually grew up in the town right next door. We were rivals. He was a star football player, star wrestler, was pretty much good at everything he did. Played football in college. Amazing athlete. The amount of improvement this guy has made is ridiculous.
186 for Mr. Gordon.
He was on a roll. He won the Ultimate Fighter show. He had a tough loss his last fight. He wants to show the world that he is no joke.
Live on UFC Fight Pass, Chris Dempsey and Eddie Gordon. Next, we move to the featherweight division. Diego Brandao versus Jimmy the Kid Hedges.
Wednesday, don't miss UFC Tonight featuring special guest CB Holloway ahead of his bout against Michael Bisping at next Saturday's UFC 186 in Montreal. Plus, both opposing gym owners from the upcoming season of The Ultimate Fighter will be live in studio to take us inside their rivalry. UFC Tonight is Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
146 for Mr. Hedges. And his opponent, winner of The Ultimate Fighter, Diego Brandao.
Tomorrow, MLB on Fox Sports 1 returns with back-to-back AL East matchups as the Orioles take on the Red Sox, followed by the Yankees squaring off against the Rays in a game you can only see on Fox Sports 1. Coverage begins at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on America's home for baseball every Saturday. That's Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
$145 for Mr. Brandao.
Diego Brandao will be looking to use the experience of being in the octagon opposite two of the top 5 featherweights in the world in his last 2 fights to carry him against Jim Hedges. He won the Ultimate Fighter. He beat Dennis Bermudez before Bermudez went on an unbelievable streak. He shared the octagon with Poirier and McGregor. Now he fights Jimmy Hedges and looks to right the ship tomorrow night.
Next fight takes place in the welterweight division. George Sullivan versus Tim Means.
Sunday's Sprint Cup racing is live from Bristol for the Food City 500 in support of Steve Burns and Stand Up to Cancer. Coverage begins at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox.
I'll tell you what, fellas, Tim Means isn't just getting it done in the octagon, he's getting it done in his community. He's actually raising money to catch a dogfighting ring in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he runs his own anti-bullying group for youth in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
170 for the Dirty Bird.
Real interesting guy. He's gotten a lot of news coverage in his local community for those endeavors.
Sullivan.
Jersey's own George Sullivan said when he's not in the octagon, he likes to surf, he likes to ride BMX, but his focus is really on his charity. He started it. It's called Silence Bullying, where he goes into the local schools here in New Jersey to speak out against bullying.
171 for Mr. Sullivan. Tim Means and George Sullivan, ladies and gentlemen. Live on UFC Fight Pass.
All right, welcome back to the desk here in New Jersey. You can catch the next 4 bouts on Fox tomorrow. We begin with a huge bantamweight affair between Aljamain Sterling and Takeya Mizugaki. Chris, you know a thing or two about the Funkmaster Aljamain.
Oh, absolutely I do. I know that he was on your MMA Hour show the other day, and
yes.
I was very proud to see him there. But this guy will be a champion in this weight class. He is a freak athlete. Out of all the guys I ever rolled with, his jiu-jitsu is the most unpredictable, and if I'm not careful, I'm getting choked out. His stand-up is ridiculous. He has not one flaw in his system. He's going to be a champion.
That's a massive endorsement. You're telling me this kid has actually caught you in chokes before? Because I'll tell you what, you've got a reputation for some excellent jiu-jitsu yourself.
He's caught me in chokes, but I know the defense. No,
what just happened is Chris Weidman just put Aljamain Sterling over to gain him fans and popularity.
Why you always got to look at the negative side, DC?
And look at that chest. If I had a piece of that chest.
136 for Mr. Sterling.
No one submits Chris Weidman.
And his opponent, Takeya Mizugaki.
Ray Longo.
Tomorrow, the rising stars of NASCAR invade the world's fastest half mile for the Xfinity Racing Live from Bristol. Coverage starts at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Takeya Mizugaki before Chris gives his opinion on his chest as well. But this guy actually holds a master's degree in electrical engineering. That's the most difficult course I ever took at the Naval Academy. This man's got a master's degree, yet spends his time messing around with guys in cages like us.
136 for Mr. Mizugaki.
His chest does not compare.
Wow.
How about Aljamain having 18 siblings? 18, guys.
Wow.
18 siblings.
Aljamain Sterling and Takeya Mizugaki, ladies and gentlemen.
18.
Next, we move to the light heavyweight division. Corey Anderson versus John Valente.
So everybody knows this is my main training partner, best friend. I grew up with him. I had to beat him in wrestling a couple times when we were younger, but he is an absolute stud. He actually was in the NFL for a few years. Actually, no, I'm sorry, a few days. He gets upset about that. But I was kind of certain that he was the strongest guy in the 205-pound division until I just tied up with Daniel Cormier earlier today. He is 100% the strongest guy in 205 now after dealing with Cormier.
206 for Mr. Valente.
Great hair, too.
And
love
his
that guy.
Opponent, Corey Anderson.
Corey Anderson came up to the Fox set last July after winning the Ultimate Fighter, and I didn't know what to expect. And he gave us story after story after story, and he was a fireball of information. One of the funniest guys I've ever seen. His nickname is Beastin, 25-8. Of all his stories, the funniest one was, DC, Brian, I once lost a wrestling match to a girl. The impressive thing about that is, I wasn't a small guy in high school. You should have seen the girl that pinned me. He made a statement that he would not get beat by another woman, went on to be a 2-time college All-American. Corey Anderson looks to stay undefeated tomorrow night.
205 for Mr. Anderson.
He took self-deprecation to a whole new level when he announced on national TV that he had lost a wrestling match to a woman.
And also told me he wouldn't loan me any money because he's been looking inside of my pocket and sees that I have some myself.
John Valente and Corey Anderson, ladies and gentlemen. The next fight also takes place in the light heavyweight division. Oven St. Preux versus Patrick Cummins.
Patrick Cummins said he needs a creative outlet outside of fighting. He has a bachelor's in fine arts and 3D art. He said he has a dream of actually having a studio one day. He recently bought a table saw, and woodworking is his outlet right now.
Yeah, I had the chance to speak to him last week before this fight, and I asked him, since he loves pottery so much, would he ever consider recreating that famous scene of Patrick Swayze in Ghost? And he actually liked the idea and considered it and posting it to his Instagram.
DC, I have a question for you, quick. You guys are going to be linked forever. Did you think he would turn into such a great UFC fighter?
Yes, I knew he would be very, very good. He's a tough guy, great wrestler.
$205 for Mr. Cummins. And his opponent, Ovin St. Preux.
I talked to Ovince's coach this morning. They told me that during his camp, he brought in a national champion Division III wrestler because he recognized that Ryan Bader was able to wrestle him and put his pace on him, and it wore him down as the fight went on. He also brought in a training partner of Patrick Cummins from Penn State during his days in college to tell him some of Patrick's habits. Guys, how many guys do you know that have won fights in their career by calf slicer and a Von Flue choke? Ovin St. Preux can find submissions anywhere inside of the octagon.
I've trained with this guy a bunch as he was up and coming in the career, and he's one of the more creative fighters I've ever had the opportunity to train with.
205 for Mr. St. Preux.
Also, all the proceeds from his walkout shirt will be going to a charity in Haiti, his home country of Haiti. So, great cause for him that he'll be supporting tomorrow as he walks out to the cage. Fight for Haiti.
He recognized his weaknesses, brought in guys to try and help him because Cummins will try and wrestle him.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pat Cummins and Ovin St. Preux. The next fight takes place in the lightweight division. Jim Miller versus Beneil Dariush.
Beneil Dariush said his favorite job besides fighting in the UFC was scooping ice cream at Baskin-Robbins. He won the Pan Ams and 2 world championships on an ice cream diet. He said when he quit eating ice cream, he gained 20 pounds. Now he makes his own healthier version of cookies and cream with a half banana.
This is a guy who comes from a family of lawyers, doctors. Even when you speak to him, extraordinarily intelligent man. You see his symbol right there in his t-shirt. He is an Assyrian Christian, which is a group of people in the Middle East who have been persecuted and hunted by the group ISIS, and this is something that is very close to home for Dariush, who actually is taking a trip over to the Middle Seas on Monday. So as soon as he finishes this fight, he's headed over to Israel.
Wow. DC, didn't you do that same ice cream diet for a while?
I still do it, bud.
Still do it, okay.
I still do it.
What's your favorite flavor? Nothing.
Too many to name.
55 for Mr. Dariush.
Interesting development. He keeps winning. He's training partners with Rafael Dos Anjos. We'll see how that plays out.
Jersey's own Jim Miller.
At 31 years old, Jim Miller, this will be his 19th UFC fight. He's accustomed to this scenario, too, where an up-and-coming fighter wants to make a name and enter into the top 10 off his back. He's had this challenge before. Charles Oliveira, Kamal Shalarus, Yancy Medeiros, all guys who are up-and-comers that we saw something in, and Jim Miller was able to stop them. Now, this is in his backyard, New Jersey. He's had mixed reviews here, though. He's 2-2, so a lot of pressure on Jim Miller in this fight in his backyard.
156 for Mr. Miller.
The one thing that sticks out to me about Jim Miller is his chokes. I've actually rolled with him and seen him teach seminars. He has some really unorthodox chokes that I'm curious to see.
Has he choked you too, Weidman?
Everybody's choked me.
Hey there again, we have now reached the main card, which you can also catch on Fox tomorrow. Next up is a strawweight bout between rising star Paige Vanzant and Ultimate Fighter veteran Felice Herrig. DC heading to the scale right now, the one and only PVZ.
You know you've made it when people just start calling you by your initials. A lot of times people talk about loving to fight. Well, Paige Vanzant wanted to fight or be around fighting so bad that she became a ring card girl before she could actually compete inside of the octagon. The moment she was presented an opportunity to fight, dropped the ring card, threw on the gloves, and became a fighter. Not only is she a fighter, she's a very good fighter. Paige Vanzant has made it in the UFC.
115 for Miss Vanzant. And her opponent, Felice Herrig.
Felice Herrig started started studying kickboxing back in 2003. Her opponent, Paige Vanzant, was just 9 years old back then. Felice says she has all of the experience. She started doing this before it was cool to test herself, and she said she's going to take down the hype train that surrounds Paige Vanzant this weekend.
Yeah, Felice oozing confidence yesterday at Media Day, saying Paige does nothing that worries her at all, doesn't bring anything to the table that she's been concerned about. I mean, really, almost to the point where she was dismissing Paige. This is a classic veteran versus rising star matchup.
Is this a tribute to Jimmy Superfly Snuka Hair, Errol? I know you're a pro wrestling fan.
He made a name for himself not too far from where we are right now. Let's take a look at this stare down, because yesterday it got very heated.
Watch out, Dana.
Paige Vanzant and Felice Herrig, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
Some words.
A little faint. She fainted her.
A lot of eyes on these two. A lot of people excited about this fight.
The next fight takes place in the featherweight division. Cub Swanson versus Max Holloway.
DC, I'll tell you what, Max Holloway mentioned when he was wearing a suit at the press conference the other day. He says, I like wearing suits. It reminds me of prom. That's how young this man is. I mean, it was like 30 years ago since you've been to the prom. He also owns a shoe collection that I feel trumps our host here, Errol Helwani, as well. The man was wearing chrome Nikes with his suit. I certainly can't pull that off. But let's get serious here when we talk about his technique. This guy lands 5.6 significant strikes per minute. The UFC average is 2.5, which is very important in this fight against Cub Swanson.
146. 146 for Mr. Holloway. And his opponent, Cub Swanson.
Cub Swanson says he doesn't think that people really know the real Cub Swanson away from the fighter. He dedicates a lot of his time to charity. His sister has Down syndrome, and she really inspired him to help out with the United Cerebral Palsy Foundation, where he helps kids with their social skills.
145. 145 for Mr. Swanson.
Cub Swanson is a guy I love to watch fight. He's so diverse with his striking, and he has power, so he can knock guys out in a small weight class.
Holloway and Cub Swanson, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome fight here.
Next fight is the co-main event of the evening in the middleweight division. Jacare Souza versus Chris Camozzi.
This could be a Cinderella story in the making. This is a guy who was actually cut from the UFC and then realized that there was a fighter that pulled down Yoel Romero, and Jacare needed an opponent in 6 days. So he went on the internet, on the underground forums, and posted that he would take the fight. He wakes up the next morning to a text message from Joe Silva asking him, "Are you serious?" And he said yes, and now he's here. He's not cut from UFC anymore, and he has a huge fight.
Jacare, like many of the fighters we've seen from Brazil, comes from very humble backgrounds. In fact, when he was just 15 years old, he witnessed one of his very close friends being murdered. And his situation was so bad that his mother actually sent him to live with family in Manaus, Brazil, which is where he first started his traditional martial arts training. He would then go on, obviously, to be a 5-time world Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. Out of 21 victories, the man has 15 submissions. And these aren't subs over guys he's supposed to win. We're talking Gegard Mousasi, Chris Camozzi, Ed Herman, Robbie Lawler, Matt Lindley. This could be the best submission artist we've ever seen in the octagon.
186. 186 for Jacare.
He's managing his weight much better. He doesn't look as sucked down and drawn in now, stepping on the scale in his last few fights inside of the UFC. Everything is coming into place for Jacare Souza.
And guys, how often do you get a second chance in a situation like this? Chris Camozzi took a fight against Jacare on just days' notice. Now here he is
nothing
again.
Nothing to lose. Yes, nothing to lose.
Now let's take a closer look at the two men involved in the main event of the evening.
At 185 pounds, unquestionably, Lyoto Machida is one of the best fighters in the world.
Já senti o gosto de como é ser o campeão, né? Então, eu quero sentir isso de novo.
He is the very best karate stylist we have ever seen in mixed martial arts. If you look at the KO of Ryan Bader, Mark Munoz, of CB Dalloway, You make one mistake, he can't shut the lights out.
I'm a better fighter than he's ever faced. I'm gonna make him worry about everything.
Luke Rockhold is right in his prime. He is absolutely enormous. He's got fantastic athleticism and just has that air of potential future champion. If he could finish Lyoto Machida, that would firmly establish him as the #1 contender in that division.
There's a recipe to beat everybody. I have the recipe to beat Lyoto. I have a lot of weapons that he's never faced.
Lyoto Machida knows that Luke Rockhold is the door to get back to Chris Weidman.
Conheço meu oponente, sei como é que ele pode vir, tenho estudado bastante ele. Mas assim, são coisas assim que eu procuro não me preocupar muito. Pensando que um dia eu vou ser campeão novamente. Eles vão levantar o meu braço. Mas essa vitória vai ser minha.
I'm gonna steal the show, flip the switch, take this for my own, and finish Lyoto Machida.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Introducing the former...
I don't have a pop-up for Luke Rockhold. We already know he's a former Strikeforce champion. I am here as a messenger. I'm sitting next to Chris Weidman, and I'm going to relay this to you. Luke Rockhold said to tell you, Weidman, hold the belt for me. Lyoto Machida is now only an obstacle. You and I will share the octagon. Friendship out the door. Chris Weidman, I'm coming for you. End of the year. Rockhold versus Weidman for the title.
That sounds great. As long as he talks trash, gets the fight to be big, it's going to be an easy night for me.
Let's do it in New York.
I've spoken to Rockhold on several occasions, and I'm willing to bet any amount of money that he did not say that, and DC just made that up on the fly.
Nope. Hey,
those are not Luke Rockhold's words.
He told me, I cleaned it up, but he told me to relay a message to Weidman.
Lyoto Machida, obviously, 2 fights ago he fought me, and it was an amazing fight. He is a man who is on a mission to get the gold, to get a chance at the gold against me again. He's a very tough fight for anybody, and I'm going with him for the victory. Sorry.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Let's start the predictions early.
I think, honestly, that was just you being upset because Rockhold had a message for you.
I think you might be right.
185 for Mr. Machida.
Machida had said that he put on some muscle for this fight and put about 4 or 5 pounds of muscle. And I can see it.
You can see it. Yeah, he looks good. He doesn't look sucked down at all.
Is an outstanding main event, ladies and gentlemen. Luke Rockhold and Lyoto Machida. Thank you for coming out. We will see you all tomorrow night.
All right, guys, so that's it from the scale. Chris, let's start with you. Biggest takeaway from